welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, back with another opposition view. This is the first, of course, Aston Villa opposition review we've done this season after the previous match was postponed. Joined by Dan Bardell from the Villa View and the Athletic. Dan, thanks for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Not weird that we haven't played each other this season because it doesn't feel that long ago. I did the match preview before, but I've realised that was like in the summer when football came back, wasn't it, towards the end of last season? So yeah, weird that we haven't played each other yet.
Yeah, very strange. And obviously that match still hasn't been rescheduled, I don't think. So it's a weird one, but obviously we're focusing on this one. I mean, the last time we actually spoke, I think you told me that you thought Villa were going down. Obviously things were looking a bit more dire last season. So since then, I mean, how's it gone? How's it been being a Villa fan?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, when we drew with you, you scored quite late, didn't you? And after that game, I thought, right, that's it. But we managed to conjure together enough points in the remaining games and just about keep our heads above water and stay up. And since then, we've built and we've done really well. To be fair, I think Villa and Everton, maybe I might be wrong, but a little bit similar this season in that it's been good progressive seasons for both clubs. They've both got certain monkeys off their back. They're both progressing. You can see they're heading in the right direction. But because of the way the season's been, I feel that you get the impression Villa season could have been a little bit more. And I guess it's probably the same with Everton because every team will have had results that they think they should have done better in this season. And I look at Everton and I look at Villa and I think great seasons, both progressing, but could have just been that little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it is massive improvement for yourselves. You find yourselves in 11th, just a few places below. So obviously, you've got quite a few games in hand on everyone after the outbreak that you did have. Yeah. So where do you really see the rest of your season going from now then? Because at one point in the season, you were kind of flying high. It's slightly dropped off a bit. So what's the expectation now for the rest of the year?
We've had a few things that have killed us a little bit, really. Obviously, the Grealish injury, 10 or 11 games, he's been out now. It's massive for any team to lose their best player, but particularly for us to lose someone who is so talismanic, someone who everything goes through. It's really affected us and we haven't really recovered from it. But you mentioned the COVID break as well. We didn't come back from that the same side. Before Christmas, I think we were starting to become a lot of people's second team. We were a really enjoyable watch. I think everyone in the country was saying, Villa mean business this season. They can push towards the top six, but it just hasn't happened. And we fell away. We had such a good start. I mean, thank God we did have that good first half of the season now because the last 10 or 11 games have been a bit of a slog and a struggle at times. But I think the biggest thing is to just try and end the season on a positive because we ended last season on a positive and we took that momentum into the start of this season. I want to end on a little bit of a high so that there's a good feeling going into the summer. Let's say we consolidate. I want to get top half. I think if we finished 11th, I'd be a little bit disappointed. I'd like to finish above Arsenal because I work with a few Arsenal fans and that would mean a lot to me if we could finish above them in mid-table. I want to finish in the top half. And there's been progress, whichever way you look at it, but I want to go into the summer feeling a bit positive, like we've picked up a couple of wins, really.
Yeah, and you're liking your progression, obviously, to Everton as well. Obviously, we finished 12th last season, I think. We found ourselves still pushing for Europe somehow. So what have you made of our season then and the squad that we put together?
A bit bitty. I might be wrong, but you've probably had injuries as well. A few injuries have probably cost you in the middle of the park. I don't feel like I've seen enough of Alan in midfield, who obviously would be a big player for you if he was fit every week. I think you've sorted certain problems that you had in that. I think your defence looks better than it did last season. I would say I really like Godfrey. I think he's a very, very good defender. I think he's going to be an exceptional defender in years to come. He's got absolutely everything you need to be a top class modern day centre back now with his pace, the way he is on the ball. I mean, for you as well, he can play all across the back four, but I think long term he'll find himself playing as a centre back. I think he was an excellent piece of business. You've got Calvert-Lewin, who he probably had not flashes, but he's had periods where he'll go on a run and he'll score a goal. And then I imagine he's had runs as well, barren spells where he hasn't scored. But again, progress for him. He's played for England. He's cemented himself. He'll be in the Euro squad at 100%, So you're heading in the right direction. You've obviously got a world-class manager, and the only way is up for Everton now. That as long as he's in charge, your club isn't going to go backwards. You're only going to progress and go forward. So I think you're in a great place, and if you can push up towards that top six and maybe even finish ahead of Liverpool, that's a great season for you.
Yeah, definitely. And towards the end of last season, obviously, you did find yourselves in a relegation fight after quite a bit of money being spent. A lot of questions were being asked about Dean Smith at the time. Villa board stuck with him. So what do you make of him now? And has your opinion changed at all on him over the past season?
No, I said when he got us promoted, I want this guy to be in charge of this club for the next 4 to 5 years, because I think managers nowadays, they don't get enough time. You can get rid of someone after 2, 3 years when they're halfway through a project and you haven't seen the half of what they're trying to achieve. So I can see what we're trying to do. I think last season we were forced to spend the money that we'd spent. We had to get players in because we had an ageing squad in the Championship, a squad that was full of loans as well. Steve Bruce had done a fair bit of damage to us in some ways, although overall he probably did an okay job. But there was a lot for us to try and build and start from scratch with, and we did that. It was all about staying up, and that's what happened. We finished 17th, and this season we're heading in the right direction. We've been an exciting team to watch. We've got things that we need to rectify. Again, probably the same as you. We're quite reliant on one striker. If anything happens to Ollie Watkins, there isn't a natural striker to come in and take his place, although Keenan Davis did come on at the weekend and get his first goal. We haven't got a big enough squad to cope when things are up against us and it goes wrong. The defence has been very stable this season, so I think that gives us a good platform to build on. If you look at Emi Martinez and the back four, I think we've kept the third most clean sheets in the Premier League so far this season. So the big thing is we've got a platform to build on, because last season, for 3/4 of the season, we couldn't defend to save our lives. So there's a platform now going into next season. We'll be very active in the transfer market like yourselves. We'll be bringing players in. And I think next season, that's the true season where you'll see what Dean Smith is all about and what he's trying to do.
And you mentioned Emi Martinez there, Ollie Watkins, probably, your two key players, because normally if I was going to ask you about your best player, we'd always get to Jack Grealish, but he has had this injury. Yeah. So who would you say has been your absolute standout? And then also maybe who's been a bit of a disappointment this season that, could have done better?
I don't think there's been a real disappointment. I think everyone's had moments this season where they've looked really good. And as I said, before Christmas, I thought we were starting to look, not the complete team, that sounds a bit stupid to say, Villa, but you know what I mean? We were functioning very well. I liked everything I was seeing from us. I think standout is probably not one that neutral fans would pick up on. I'd probably say, other than the goalkeeper, Matt Targett. He's been brilliant at left back. Last year I looked at him and I thought, he's a good player, but he doesn't really like defending. This season, his defensive game's been unbelievable. Statistically, he's been unreal at left back defensively. He's barely missed a minute of football as well. He's just been so consistent. And if it wasn't for Chilwell and Shaw, he'd probably be having a shout for being in the Euro squad. So I think he's been our most consistent player. The disappointment's been the last 10, 11 games, really, without Jack, that people haven't perhaps stood up in the attacking positions and said, right, Jack's not playing. I'm going to take the game by the scruff of the neck. I'm going to make things happen. Barkley's the obvious one. I feel a bit sorry for him. Everton fans will probably turn around and say, this is what Ross Barkley does. This is what happens. But when he first came in, he was unbelievable. The way he was linking up with Grealish, I was like, oh, this is it. This is a really good signing for us. This is a big signing. But again, he got injured. We had COVID. He came back and he's just not been the same. And I don't think it's lack of effort, because you're never going to get that intense pressing game from Ross Barkley. That's not what he's about. But I think he's just found himself out of form, and he's been so desperate to play himself back into form that it just hasn't happened. But there was shoots of recovery. I don't know whether you saw it in the West Brom game. He had a better game. He won a penalty. He looked a bit more involved. So maybe just in time for playing you boys, maybe Ross Barkley's going to come good.
Yeah, sincerely hope not. You definitely wouldn't find much sympathy for Ross Barkley from Everton fans. But what is the situation with him now? Because obviously he did have that good start. He has shown that he has some ability. But I mean, we saw that at Everton for plenty of time. Had some ability. Decided to, leave for 20 million less than he absolutely should have 6 months earlier. So what is the situation with him now? Is he going to be moving permanently, or is he just going to go back to Chelsea?
I don't see us buying him, if I'm being perfectly honest now. I think we had the option, to buy him in January. And at that point, the fans were like, let's get this done. Let's seal it. Let's sign it. But the club decided not to act on it. And you've got to be fair. It probably looks a wise decision now, because 30, 40 million for someone who's played the way he has in the last month or so, it's not money well spent, is it? I just think I can see Jack moving back to being a number 10 next season. If hopefully he's at the club. Obviously, we're always going to have to deal with those rumours of him going elsewhere, but he's got a big contract, so you presume he's going to be there. Out wide, we need to improve. So if we can get a couple of really good wide players in, hopefully I'm looking towards maybe Ollie Watkins can move out wide next season, and we can get Tammy Abraham in from Chelsea. Obviously, it looks like he might be available. If we can get Tammy back at the club and improve those wide positions, I think Jack can probably go back to playing as a number 10, which he thinks is his best position. So I just don't think we'll go for Barkley, because I think Chelsea will demand too much. His wages don't really fit in with our wage bill at the moment either. And I think it's 11 million this loan's cost us overall. And despite the good start, he did win us a few games, to be fair, in his first month at the club, and got off to a flyer in that 7-2 against Liverpool. But 11 million hasn't really been money well spent.
Yeah, we mentioned obviously we've kind of discussed several players, but what is the kind of likely system and lineup that you are going to come up with?
Smith kind of flits between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. So if Barkley's playing, it's more likely to be a 4-2-3-1, and he'll play as that 10, and we'll try and get him closer to Watkins, because sometimes Watkins can become quite isolated. I mean, I've barely mentioned him, but he's had a phenomenal season, an excellent guy and an excellent player in the way he's made the step up and had his England debut. It's the stuff of dreams, and he's had a really good year and got a great goal return as well. So he's an excellent lone forward, probably like the way you feel about Calvert-Lewin. He does everything that you would want a lone forward to do. He just doesn't always get the service from Villa without Jack. So we'll keep the same kind of side. I would have thought the only slight thing is that Keenan Davies came on and finally got a goal the other night. So there's a lot of calls from Villa fans for him to play up front, or maybe go to 2 up front and partner him and Watkins. So there's an outside chance, the way we've got wingers injured and the way wingers have been on form-wise, there's an outside chance that Davies would play up top and Watkins from the left. But I think Keenan will probably be on the bench, to be honest. So our side will probably be the same side that it was against West Brom. Back four and goalkeeper pick themselves anyway, and then Louise and McGinn behind Barkley, Watkins, El Ghazi, and you know what? We've got so many injuries at the moment. I've forgotten who else played wide. You know, let's go and try Aura.
Yeah. So then, just final few questions now as well. And you mentioned Calvert-Lewin, and you like Allen as well. So who are maybe, in your opinion, the most dangerous Everton players where maybe there are some weaknesses in your side? So who are you most concerned about coming up against?
It's a weird one. I don't think I can pick out one single player. I like Digne at left back. I think he's excellent going forward. He's a source of a lot of your goals, even if he's not the one whipping in the cross. I think if you look at the start of moves where Everton score goals, 9 times out of 10, Digne has probably been on the ball at some point. I don't know what you think of Pickford. I think he's someone that we can potentially get at. I don't know. I feel like he's probably been a bit better than I think he has been this season. I don't know what your thoughts are, but everyone picks him out as the weak link, don't they?
Yeah, no, he had a bit of an injury for a while, and he's come back and he's been pretty solid as well. So I can't really fault him. And obviously, a lot of the time when I ask opposition fans, who you want to go up against, everyone immediately thinks Pickford. But he is probably not quite as bad as people presume, because the media are just a lot louder when he makes a mistake. He is, of course, the England number one. So you probably hear about him a lot more when he does something wrong, as opposed to when he does something well. But he's been pretty solid. So my final couple of questions, just the classic. First of all, score prediction.
I'll go 1-1. I mean, am I right in saying your home form hasn't been great this season?
It's been a shambles. I think that's absolutely fair to say.
How many games you won at home?
I'm not sure what it is exactly, but we have comfortably one of the worst, home forms. I mean, our away form's phenomenal. So when the game finally gets scheduled at Villa Park, we'll be in a lot better mood then. But no, Goodison Park, we've struggled at.
I'd probably say 1-1. I don't think there'll be loads of goals. It'll be a tight game. We don't ship many. I think your defence, as I said before, is better than it has been in previous years. So it'd probably be quite similar to the game last season, to be honest. But although we can't take a set piece to save our lives now, Conor Harahan's gone on. Our dead ball delivery is absolutely atrocious. So you've got no worries about us from set pieces at all, because I don't think we've scored a goal from a set piece since he left. So yeah, I'd go 1-1. Ollie Watkins on the score sheet for Villa.
Fair enough.
I'll go Sigurdsson for you. He seems to be popping up with a few goals recently.
Yeah, he is. And then final question, we like to ask something that's not at all related to the match. So, what's your favourite chocolate bar? What would you have to pick if you had the choice of anyone?
Does Ferrero Rocher count as a bar?
I'm not necessarily. I don't think that counts as a bar. I don't think you can get away with a Ferrero Rocher.
That's definitely my favourite chocolate for a Ferrero Rocher. I like a Caramac. Pick up a few Caramats from the garage on the road.
I've never heard of a Caramac in my life.
Treat yourself to a Caramac after this. They're pretty nice. Obviously, the clue's in the name, caramel based, but they're good. Or dime. I like a dime as well. All
right, yeah. A couple of choices that we probably haven't heard on the channel before, but that brings us to the end of the video. So, Dan, thank you very much for coming on, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to leave us your score predictions in the comments below, because we've got 2 games against Villa coming up in the next few weeks or so. We don't know when the second one's going to be, but thank you all very much for watching, and join us next time in the Toffee Blues.